I was born in the terrible city of Detroit. My apartment is small and my building is dirty. I work on the assembly line at Ford, where I get paid dirt to be on my feet 10 hours a day with no breaks. I had a wife, Jackie, who hated my guts because I frequently cheated on her with prostitutes. That was a model marriage, that was. We did have a son, Scotty, who was a great little tyke, until he was kidnapped and murdered at the age of 6. I consider myself a vigilante of sorts, because I work to clean up the city of the crooks and murderers, using force not always granted to police officers, which is an advantage to me. I target gang members for a couple of reasons. 1, they gave me hell as a kid, leaving me close to death on a couple of occasions. They also happen to be responsible for my son's murder. I figure the less gangbangers on this earth, the better. And while you might think I'm a criminal for what I do, I'll tell you that someone has to do it. On the recent radio show that aired, Noir Not the Father, it was unfortunately revealed that I was the one who murdered my wife, Jackie. I'll admit, it was out of jealousy and contempt, as I suspected her of having affairs of her own. You might not think it's fair, after all the times I cheated on her. I just say good riddance. After the show, they put me in custody, and thought that was the end of it. But I disappeared without a trace. It seems I have made my escape.
My main profession is detective in the center of Atlanta, and I'm going to be honest and say I'm damn good at my job. That is unless I'm too drunk, which has happened a couple times, but I don't want to talk about it. After my wife left me, I started to pick up heavy drinking and smoking. I see my drinking and smoking is not a problem, but a phase I'm going through to help me get over my wife. She left with my one boy and never lets me see him. She left because she thought I cared more about work more than I did her, which was almost true. But now I'm happiest when I'm working and helping making Atlanta a safer place. So maybe she was right. I don't know. I was depressed until I met my sugar mama, Jackie Steele, at Barbarians. I knew she was married at the time, but damn, I couldn't get enough of her. We kept our fling going and things were great. We would meet every once in a while at Barbarians, and I was ready to move away with her and start our lives together. That is when I got the call about her murder, which brought me to the set of Noir Not the Father. A lot of shit went down on that show, which included the unveiling of Billy Steele as the murder of Jackie. I hear that he has escaped from custody. Boy, it would feel good to bring him to jail for good.
My name is Jack Sadler, and I was born on my parents' farm in Lincoln, Illinois on December 28th. I was an only child at the time, and my parents were still quite young. My father had inherited the farm from his father and had spent the majority of his life working there, and I was expected to do the same. I got tired of the life on the farm and packed my bags and moved out at age 19. I had almost no money but managed to get myself to Chicago, where I found a job at a bar. I worked there as a dishwasher and eventually a bartender for quite a few years. When I was about 30 years old, I had saved up enough money to buy the bar that I had been working at for just about 10 years then. The bar wasn't the nicest joint in town, but it was good enough for me. I had 2 rooms upstairs, one that I made my bedroom and one that I made my office. I had started doing a bit of PI work a few years back. It was at the bar that I first met Jackie Steele. One day, I was approached by a man named Billy Steele. He wanted to hire me as a PI to look into his wife's suspicious behavior. I didn't really like the guy at first. He seemed like a drunk. But business was business, and he was willing to pay. I hadn't had any PI work in quite some time, and the bar never made much money. He wanted me to follow his wife and look into what she was doing wherever she went. Long story short, I ended up following her, and this broad was absolutely having an affair with some guy. Despite everything I was seeing in my employment from her husband, she seemed like a nice enough girl who was just tired of her drunk of a husband. Well, I went ahead and went home and scheduled to meet Billy at the bar the next day. That night, of all people in the world to walk into my bar, in comes Jackie Steele. She walked in by herself looking sad. I recognized her right away, but paid no attention and went back to wiping down the bar. It was late and no one else was in the bar except for a regular or two. I watched Jackie sitting by herself in the corner for quite some time before I realized that she was there alone and not waiting for anyone else after all. I wanted to tell her to get out. I wanted to tell her everything I knew, but I got her a drink instead. I poured her a whiskey and walked it over to her. I set the drink down in front of her and we began to talk, and you know the rest. The next day I phoned Billy and told him that I hadn't found anything and his wife was only meeting some girlfriends. Jackie and I continued to see each other occasionally when she wasn't there on a date with another guy, all until she stopped showing up. That's when I found out that she had been murdered.
When I turned 21, I was in a bad car accident which killed my fiance, and I needed a blood transfusion. When neither of my parents were a match, I freaked out, because my parents weren't my parents and my whole life was a lie. I fled to small town Layton, Alabama, where I met my now dead husband, Charles. We had 5 kids, and all was great till that son of a bitch decided to cheat on me with every whore on the block. He ended up drowning in our pool while the kids and I were at the supermarket. The police said he fell in. Rumors fly, but I know the truth. That's what matters, right? Right. Anyway, I ended up moving my kids to Detroit, where I got a job with the Crime Scene Investigation Unit. I cleaned up so many messes, and blood be gone is something every household should have. Now I'm featured on Noir Not the Father as the crime scene/pregnancy test/paternity test expert. People tell me I'm a flirt, and they aren't lying. With no husband and 5 kids, wouldn't you want a little action in your life? Yeah, thought so. I also carry a big purse. Anyway, the only interaction I ever had with Jackie was when I was examining her death at the crime scene. There was blood, lots of blood, and there was glass everywhere. I felt bad for her. I found those pregnancy tests, and to know she wasn't the only one dead, that was rough. And that picture of Jack with a heart around it, Jackie was a hoe. And I know what a hoe is, trust me. I wondered if her husband knew, but whatever. She was dead, I was getting paid, that's what mattered. On Noir Not the Father, Mick was a flirt and obviously wanted me. I revealed that Jack was the father of Jackie's baby, and both Billy and Mick were not. Then what happened after Noir Not the Father? Well, stuff.
It all started the day my parents died. I used to live in Centralia, Pennsylvania, now a ghost town. Everyone was evacuated. Well, everyone except my parents. When a mine fire created a giant smoking crack throughout the town, it triggered mass destruction. I was outside waiting by the car, and I saw people running back and forth from their houses, carrying all of their belongings. All I had was a stupid box of chalk, so like any normal kid in a state of crisis, I began to draw a picture on the soon-to-be smoking sidewalk. I drew the town opening up and everyone falling into the crack. For that moment, I was in charge of people's fates. I decided who was going to leave Centralia and who would be doomed to die. Next thing I remember, my mother yanked me from the ground and rushed me to the car. If only she had looked at my drawing, she would have known that her escape was futile. As I sat in the car waiting for my parents, the house started to shake. A giant crack slithered its way towards my house. I sat mesmerized that my drawing had come to life. I felt powerful. I can't even remember if I heard my parents screaming. I honestly didn't care. I was more saddened by the fact that I may never feel that sense of power again. Eventually, a neighbor grabbed me out of the car and rushed me out of town with them. I spent the rest of my childhood going from foster home to foster home. Eventually, each family would just get scared of me and pawn me off on someone else. Somehow their lives would magically start to disintegrate as soon as I stepped foot in their door. Each new family meant that feeling of power all over again. I wanted to control each step or thought they took. No one could ever pin anything on me, though. I don't know how I decided to become a psychologist, but I know the rush it gives me. People constantly giving me access to their inner workings of their mind. Now that is a sense of power I will never get sick of. But since destroying people can be a little bit of an expensive habit, I needed to make a little extra income. Hence, the production of Noir Not the Father. What better way to shatter their pretty little images than on national television?
You are not. You are not. You are not. 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 You are not. Not. You are not.
Not the Father with Stella Vaughn.
Welcome back to the second round of Noir Not the Father. We are going to follow up with our lovely group of murderers, baby daddies, and thirsty bitches. Where are they now? What led to their fates on the original Noir Not the Father? We bear all tonight. First, we're going to bring out our favorite bartender, Jack Sadler. Jack, please come out.
Hi, how you guys doing tonight? I still don't really know why I'm here, but hey, come on down to Barbarians afterwards for happy hour.
Well, you were the baby daddy of Jackie's child, and I know you never got to experience fatherhood, but maybe that left some kind of impact on your life? How has everything been going since the show ended?
Well, I gotta say, the whole thing with Jackie didn't really bother me much. Honestly, the appearance on Noir Not the Father show really has done wonders for Barbarians publicity. We've been doing better than ever. I have taken a break from the PI work right now to focus on the bar, which is probably for the better anyway. You'll also be glad to hear that we have increased our sanitation standards and will no longer allow any bathroom quickies.
I'm glad we could assist you in your business endeavors. I'm happy to hear your bathroom cookies have come to an end. Maybe you should have taken that into consideration before getting a girl pregnant, but I guess that's all in the past now that she's dead. Have you had any new love interests? Although I don't really anticipate a deep, meaningful relationship ever making an appearance in your life.
Yep, you guessed right, Stella. Ever since all that stuff with Jackie, I've decided to lay low. Plus, after Noir Not the Father, I don't have the best reputation with the ladies anymore.
So you aren't laying low, you just can't get any action because you're a horrible person with the inability to have emotion. Sounds about right. I've heard that you have made a new friend, though. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Not sure what you're implying there, Stella. But if you're referring to Mick Breton, then yeah, we've become good pals. I had known Mick briefly from before the show, and I've just seen him around the bar and whatnot. After Noir Not the Father, Mick and I have been hanging out. He's actually a pretty great guy, and we've had a good time getting drunk together and reminiscing about the crazy events in our first appearance on Noir Not the Father.
Well, Jack, we have your pal here on set today. Let us welcome Michael Ol' Mick Breton to the stage.
Hey, what up, Jack?
Hey, man.
What's up, Stella?
Once again, my name is Dr. Vaughn. Don't ever refer to me as Stella again.
I hate you, sugar. So what can I do for you?
Anyway, what have you been up to since the end of Noir Not the Father? Clearly, you've loosened up a little bit.
Yes, I have. Thank you for asking, Dollface. Mostly I've been hanging out at Barbarians with Jack here. I know I probably should hate him since he had sex with my love bug. They didn't have near the connection that we had, though. Have you ever seen the movie 50 Shades of Grey? That's loosely based on my love life. I'm really into bondage.
Seriously, you have to stop using pet names and referring to inappropriate things on my show.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just a little lonely and I haven't been with a girl in a while.
Who needs women when you have whiskey?
So true.
You both need to schedule appointments with my office in the next week. These alcoholic tendencies and relationship issues could lead to a downward spiral. But for now, we need to get back on track. Mick, tell us what happened after you left the show.
Well, Stella, I kind of went on a whiskey spree at Barbarians. It was bad. Every night and day I would be there, just getting absolutely hammered. And when you know that, this was not very attractive to the opposite sex. I would walk up to girls thinking I was having a normal conversation and actually sound like a goat trying to talk. It has been really sad, and I hope I can get out of the slump. By the way, where's Blair?
Sounds tragic. You seem to be making some progress with Jack. He may not be the best influence for your situation, but at least you're having some success with human interaction. Since you asked, Blair will be coming out shortly, and if there's one thing we've learned, she wouldn't care if you sounded like a goat. We're going to take a short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Have you recently had a baby and aren't sure who the father is? Or are you sure who the father is and he just won't admit it? Come on down to Daddies R Us. At Daddies R Us DNA and Paternity Test Emporium, we can take care of all your DNA and paternity test needs. Call us now at 555 Daddies R Us.
If you are just tuning into our show, we have caught up with two of our guests, Jack and Mick. Apparently, they've developed a friendship since the end of Nora Not the Father, and Mick has taken a turn for the worst, whereas Jack seems to still be the same heartless ass we met a couple weeks ago. Now we're bringing out Blair, and we all know what that means.
Yeah, we do know what that means. Hey Stella, thanks for having me back as a guest, and not as a pregnancy test / paternity test / crime scene expert. I brought my purse though. I left it over there because they said I couldn't bring it on stage. But I'm glad to be here.
Thanks for enlightening us. You've become a pretty important part of Nora Not the Father with finding new guests and always having shipments ready on time. What has been going on in your life since your time on the show?
Oh yes, my shipments do always ship on time. I like to make sure things come in a timely manner. My life has been pretty, well, interesting. When I saw Billy in those handcuffs at the end of the last show, my heart couldn't take it. He was the love of my life that week, and I didn't want him to rot in some cell, even though he actually deserves to.
Why don't we pause for a second, because I don't think anyone was aware of the relationship you had with Billy during the air of our radio show. You say he was the love of your life, but last I heard, he was pretending you didn't exist and even ignoring you on social media. That's gotta hurt.
I mean, it was more than a relationship. It was actually a love triangle. Me, him, and that damn bottle of whiskey. I loved him, he loved me, but he chose the whiskey and to hide from the cops. Probably a good idea, but he was so perfect. He was drunk most of the time, and I could do whatever I wanted. When he left, it broke me. I cried for 3 days, and my kids were not happy. They ate a lot of chicken nuggets that week. I'm still hurting. I assume he isn't coming tonight, since he's away in Indianapolis hiding.
I would never have done that to you, Buttercup.
Aww. I know, Mick. I should have picked you, but you were so heartbroken over the whole Jackie incident. Lame. We could have made some pretty babies.
I love you, Snookums.
Well, it's too late for that. I basically threw myself at you for the duration of the last show, and what did you do? Nothing. All you cared about was Jackie. Dead Jackie and her dead-ass baby. It wasn't even yours. I hate you.
Well, my life is over, and you can go to hell!
This is disgusting.
I guess we lost Mick. We'll try and get him back once his emotions get in check and Blair learns to keep her legs closed.
That won't happen.
Just go sit in that corner over there until we need you.
Did you spill a glass of wine?
Did the dog drag in dirt?
Or maybe you murdered your husband in cold blood and now want to get rid of the evidence.
Haha, just kidding.
Here at No Stain, No Problem, we pride ourselves in assuring 100% guaranteed satisfaction.
In order to provide the best experience for our customers, we offer 24/7 service.
3 in the morning? No problem. We run off of adrenaline.
And if you call within the next week, we will throw in a bottle of our infamous Blood Be Gone for those pesky accidents. A $29.95 value.
So call today, 1-800-NO-STAIN. That's 1-800-667-8246. That's 1-800-667-8246.
We don't cut corners, we clean them.
Bloodstains extra, no questions asked.
Now that everyone's emotions are in check, we have a little surprise for our guests. Billy has made the trip from Indianapolis to join our reunion group. Billy, please join us.
You mean he's here? My Billy?
Billy's a douche.
Damn it, Stella. We agreed not to use my real name, and to use a voice changer, and not to tell everyone what city I was in, you stupid head.
Oh, whoops. I guess I forgot. What a shame. Well, now that we've revealed where you've been, why don't you tell us what has been happening in your life since you were taken into custody?
Well, Stella Vaughn, the hard part was not escaping from being handcuffed by the studio security guard. The hard part was disappearing without a trace. Fortunately, now everyone knows where I've been, so I might as well tell the whole story. Blair helped me escape. She distracted the Paul Blart-looking security guard by, how else, making out with him. This gave me time to grab the keys to the handcuffs off of his belt. With my teeth, flip them over my head into my handcuffed hands, and unlock the cuffs.
You and Blair had a great relationship there. And are you implying that my security guards are inadequate? Because from what they told me, your struggle was more of a cat fight with some hair pulling and scratching. Not very manly. What happened once you got away?
I only make out with people who break the law, not enforce it.
Well, I promptly ditched Blair because she's not the type of girl you want to keep around for an extended period of time, if you know what I mean. But I did give her something very special that I don't think she'll easily forget.
What did you give me? Because I know it wasn't your virginity.
I hope you have some tests in that purse of yours.
Always.
Anyway, I fled to Indianapolis and I couldn't afford to have any strings attached. So I went alone. I tried to turn over a new leaf once I got there. I didn't completely abandon my vigilante lifestyle, but I did try to work more in cooperation with the local cops, without their knowing it, of course. I also tried to cut down on my drinking, but every day was a struggle. That's when I got the call from you guys about the reunion show.
I see. Well, I'm not quite sure that you went with no strings attached. There is a reason for your presence on this show tonight, and I know you risked a lot by coming here, but I think...
I swear to God if Blair's pregnant with my baby.
Well, I could say Noir not the father, but, actually I have to say that to someone else here tonight regarding the second trimester unnamed deceased fetus of Jackie.
I never would have done that to you, Blair Bear.
Everyone, shut up! This show is ridiculous. I'm tired of being called onto this shitty show. Blair, you are a whore. Billy, you are a drunk. Mick, let's just go back to Barbarians and get drunk. Dr. Vaughn, you're non-existent. There's no point to any of this. All I want to do is...
Jack, wait. I have to tell you something.
What?
Well, I kind of did something I probably shouldn't have done. You see...
Wait, I don't think this is such a good idea.
We have to. Who knows if we'll ever have a chance to come clean again.
Fine, but if we go down, I'm blaming you.
Okay, fine. I didn't want Mick to actually be the father, so I switched the results. He was just so flirty, and I thought he would be the one for me. I didn't want him to be so emotionally attached to the dead baby thing. I just wanted him to want me, so I made it that you were the father.
What? I can't believe this. I'm gonna be a Oh, wait, no, I'm not.
I was trying to protect you. You were supposed to be mine for life.
You're right. You're great. I love you so much. Let's run away forever.
Aww. So basically, nothing's really changed. Great show, everybody.
What has changed is that I'm preggo, and I want my child support on the first, Billy. Unless you want to step up and be mine for life.
Let's get something straight, Blair. I'm not going to be giving you any child support. On the D one more time, that might be a different story.
I mean, it'd make more sense for us to be together. But if not, Mick, let's go. I choose you.
Deal, let's go.
Mick, you're a douche.
At least I'm getting laid.
Unbelievable. They're perfect for each other. And we're out of alcohol. This is great. Turn that shit off. Come on, turn it off. Camera out of here.
You are not. You are not. You are not. 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 You are not. Not.
Noir Not the Father, The Reunion was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Noir Not the Father with Stella Vaughn.